Time for a safety tip. First of all, when you take a punch to the jaw, or a kick to the jaw, what happens is your lower jaw is actually moved backwards into the base of the brain, like this, which can cause unconsciousness or what we like to call a knockout. So, always keep your chin down and wear one of these. It's a mouth guard. This is a double mouth guard. This is the one I prefer because it secures the lower jaw more. This is a single mouth guard. Makes it easier to breathe, but I'm not a big fan. Now, a concussion happens when the brain is rocked violently into the skull, which can cause bruising and could be life-threatening. So make sure to guard yourself, like this guy, with your hands up, elbows in tight, not like these guys. That's for fun. Make sure to know how to shin block. Make sure to know how to deal with a body shot. These can be lethal. Make sure to breathe out when you take a hit to the body, because this will happen if you don't. The lungs will collapse and possibly puncture. So, make sure to have a good fighting stance like these guys. Hands up, chin down. Unlike these guys. This is just for fun. I have to be honest, I don't like the idea that some have it and some don't. I believe that this is something that you can train for. But like all aspects of fighting, some people do have a natural talent to take a hit. Something that I do before a fight, and even before I spar, is to hit myself hard a few times so it's not so much of a shock when it happens for real. You might think that sounds weird, but try it. You can't hit yourself hard enough to cause injury. Your mind will not allow it, unless there's something wrong with you. I also tell myself, you're going to get hit hard, so get used to that idea now. It's almost weird how effective this is. If you just hit yourself a few times before a fight, as you can see I'm hitting myself a lot, but if you hit yourself a few times before a fight, it sends the message to your body that damage is on its way. But at the same time, it prepares yourself for the shock of impact. So it's not so much of a shock after all. I might look a little bit like a gorilla doing this, but seriously, it works. Give it a try. Another thing that can help you prepare to take hits in a fight is to spar or fight with heavy hitters, so that you know the contrast between real damage and a hit that you can work through. If you watch my other videos, you'll see me get knocked out by this guy named Jeff Moody. That guy hits like a truck. That's not an exaggeration. This guy has the uncanny ability to knock out just about everybody he fights, whether it's kickboxing or MMA. I hear a lot of people say, oh, he's got such sloppy technique, but damn, take one of those sloppy punches to the face and tell me it's not the hardest hit you ever took. My point in saying that, once you're used to taking heavy hits, everyone else by comparison will feel like getting slapped in the face by a pillow.
Too smart to be doing this, first of all, but man, he's taking some shots here, Johnny.
Oh yeah, he is, Mike.
But he's still coming forward.
I don't think he learned this in his college education. I don't think he learned a beating. Oh, but right there, Poles.
Very nice work. We've not seen any ground whatsoever from Ramsey.
Another thing I do a lot while training for kickboxing or MMA is spinning around until I'm completely dizzy, and then working with the heavy bag. Now, I wouldn't recommend this for everybody, but it's a great way to condition yourself to deal with dizziness, to deal with the imbalance of equilibrium that happens every time you get hit. Now, when you get hit, what happens is the fluid in your inner ears gets disturbed. It starts shaking around. The same as when you spin around. The fluid in your inner ears will start circling around. You'll feel dizzy. You might feel nauseous. You might feel like you want to throw up. But the thing is, you can condition that. If you've ever seen Chinese contemporary dancers, they are famous for spinning around 100 times and then immediately jumping into a perfect balletic sequence of choreography without missing a step. And the reason they can do that is because they practice spinning. Now, I may not have the greatest fight record, but one thing I do know is how to take a hit and keep fighting. A lot of that, however, comes from making the constant decision to keep going no matter what, each time a second of the clock ticks away. And that's something that's hard to train for. That might be one of those things that either you have or you don't. But if you want to be in a fight, you've got to make that decision to move forward the whole time, because it's going to hurt, you are going to get tired, you are going to feel like falling over and giving up. But you've got to make that decision every single moment to keep moving forward, to keep going, to keep fighting, to keep punching, to keep kicking, to keep wrestling, to keep moving to win the fight.
In fact, he's a kickboxer, Taekwondo stylist turned kickboxer, and look at that, it's got a pretty nice guard, and if Mike Bullock's not careful, he's going to leave something behind and get it taken off.
Oh yeah, Mike Bullock has gone non-stop since the bell scissor.
Ramsey, Dewey, tough.
Another advantage of having a game plan is that when you get hit hard, disoriented, hurt, etc., if you've trained for your game plan, then you'll always have a reference point for your fight. Say that you're kickboxing, for example, and you want to set up a series of hard leg kicks with a 1-2 combo. Maybe that's your whole plan. But your opponent hits you hard a couple of times, it's not ideal, but if you have that mindset, 1-2 kick in mind, then you're set. You have a reference point to go to once you get hit, once you get disoriented, so that instead of going to your animal instincts of flailing wildly, running away, whatever kind of person you are, that you will fall back on your game plan, because it's in your muscle memory, it's in your mind, and it's in your heart. Now, ideally in a fight you'll want to avoid strikes, but, and this is a big but, getting hit is inevitable in a fight. Don't think it won't happen to you. Somebody always gets hit. Now, an important thing to do for fight training is physical conditioning. Hit a heavy bag, do calisthenics, lift weights, run, that sort of thing. What physical conditioning does is it increases the level of endorphins in the body. Endorphins are naturally produced chemicals that will increase the body's tolerance to pain. This is important. Conditioning aside, everything you do in practice is mental. The purpose of martial arts training is to train the mind, to control the body, and to condition the body to obey the mind. For example, it is infinitely more important to understand how to set up a good 1-2 leg kick combo than to hit your training partner with one. Full contact sparring all the time would be ideal if we were more than mere mortals, but the fact of the matter is we're not, so we have to use more creative thinking for effective fight training. Generally, when a fighter takes a hard hit, they stop thinking and start acting on instinct. Now, a fighter can train technique to the point that their execution becomes instinctual. For example, look at any new fighter with a wrestling background. The first time they take a hit, almost 100% of them instinctively shoot for a takedown because that is what they've trained. That's what their body remembers. I'd say the best thing to train for in MMA is to have a goal or a fight plan. Practice executing that plan aggressively and plan for any contingency that could compromise that plan. For example, if plan A doesn't work, do you have a plan B?